guys, this is Lachette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with a new video. This is for the letter P of the YouTube Pagans ABCs challenge. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I have been looking forward to this one for quite a while. If I wasn't doing these in alphabetical order, I would have done this particular post a while ago. So for me, and for the purposes of this video, P is for practice. And practice has one general definition, and, well, it has several definitions, but to me, they kind of all fit very well together. And let me just read them now. Okay, so noun, the actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method as opposed to theories relating to it. So practice rather than theory. Or two, the customary, habitual, and or expected procedure or way of doing something, like medical practice. Or no, I misspoke there. Like you practicing playing an instrument so you get better. So, excuse me. There's also practitioner, and that's someone who practices, obviously, but for actual definition, noun, a person actively engaging in an art, discipline, or profession, especially medicine. So, like a medical practitioner. And honestly, these all apply to being a witch. To me, being a witch means you gotta practice. You have to practice witchcraft, whatever that craft is to you. You have to practice it over and over, try new ways of doing things, continue learning, but also actively doing something. And there is some theory in witchcraft, but it's kind of like science, and like you come up with the theories first and then you try them out, you practice them until theory becomes fact, at least in your own personal practice of witchcraft. Not necessarily for the umbrella of witchcraft or paganism or anything esoteric. And that is a huge chunk of what's interesting about witchcraft to me. So, all that being said, I think you can get the idea that I believe that witchcraft is not like a birthright thing. It is something that can be passed down, that you can learn from your ancestors, or specifically like your parents, elders in your particular tradition if you have one, or just other people. We have things like books and the internet out there, so you don't have to learn one-on-one with a person in person. That does open you up to a lot of inaccurate information, and also a lot more theory than actual practice. But I don't think that 95% of the time is harmful. It may lead you down a road you didn't initially want to go down, but that's okay. We're learning. You're still learning by doing, and if you learn something that's not for you, then it's not for you, and now you know. So Yeah, I don't think you need to be special in any way, shape, or form, like have some sort of innate magical powers, or to be psychic, or somehow weird or on the fringes of society. And you also, and I'm putting this in a special category, I don't think you need to be someone who has all your shit together in life to practice witchcraft. That includes your health physically, mentally, emotionally, and you don't necessarily have to have like a good job, a stable home, all of that to practice witchcraft. I will put in this caveat though, if you're practicing with other people, then their opinions, their thoughts and feelings about that do affect it. So let's say within a coven, group dynamics are important, and if someone already established in the coven, meaning a member of it already, not just like an outer court, for example, if members find that they can't work with you because of any of the aforementioned specialness, then that's their right to deny you entry to the coven, or to feel that you are not good for that particular group, coven, circle, whatever you want to call it. Because again, group dynamics are important. It's how do we all fit together as puzzle pieces, and I've talked about that a little bit in my coven video. But that does not mean that you can't practice witchcraft. It just means you can't practice witchcraft with those particular people because you're not the right fit for them at that time. So yeah, you don't need to be special. You don't need to have some special connection with the universe or anything else that I mentioned. I've heard all kinds of stuff, and this is all my personal beliefs, same as every other video, so feel free to disagree. This particular conversation about who is fit or unfit to practice is always an interesting one, as long as no one is being insulting of anyone else. So if you would like to share your opinion, if it differs from mine, I would love to talk about that. We can in the comments. So, calling witchcraft a practice also, to me, says that it's not really a religion. It's a spiritual practice, kind of like Buddhism. You can have a religion or a belief system that for you messes with witchcraft, but they don't have to be at odds with each other if that works for you. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, and that's fine. So, ultimately, I think to be a witch, to be able to call yourself a witch, you have to practice, and that means learning and growing and doing. And I'm going to go back to the witch's pyramid, which I've mentioned before in my knowing video. And yes, I'm aware that the witch's pyramid is something older than modern witchcraft traditions today, older than neo-paganism. I believe ultimately it comes from Alpheus Levi, from the Golden Dawn, and I'm aware that that's another piece of ceremonial magic that has made its way into witchcraft thanks to people like Gerald Gardner, who started Wicca, and I'm okay with that. But back to the witch's pyramid here. Just a reminder there are 4 parts: to know, to dare, to will, to keep silent. And for me, the idea of practice in witchcraft, practicing witchcraft falls under both to dare and to will. And even though you don't need to be different or special, to be a witch, it often kind of makes you so. It's not an organized religion, and it's not a popular practice. And by popular, I mean the majority of people in the world do some type of it knowingly. So that means you have to put in the work and just to look into witchcraft, reading a book about it, opening a website, Googling, joining an open circle, let alone to actually practice magic, which is the core piece of witchcraft, is daring. It's very daring, because it's not something that most people are used to. You literally have to step outside of your comfort zone to follow your curiosity, and see if this is something that you're interested in. You need to practice magic. You need to keep learning to practice repeatedly the stuff that you have learned. Not just read the books, though I think that's important, but also it's like homework you're giving yourself, exercises. There are a lot of like pagan and witchcraft 101 books out there that do have exercises for you to try, and that is very helpful. But you can even take it to the next step and create your own if you come across something that you are interested in doing. And this is not just spell work I'm talking about. I'm speaking in general, altar setup, creating shrine or altar or any of your tools by hand is practice. Going out and buying them, and it's very much an interesting relationship that you have to work through, trying to pick out your tools, figuring out your ethics and beliefs within witchcraft. What do you believe? What don't you believe? Even like just trolling through the internet and cherry picking what works for you and what doesn't, through from other pagans and their articles and their websites and things like that. Anything from correspondences to cosmology, if working with deities is part of your witchcraft practice. Ethics is another big thing. Like, what are your do's and don'ts? What's crossing the line and what isn't? What's respectful and what isn't is up to you to decide. To actually do the work of all of this is difficult. There's no manual. There's no one book to rule them all. There's no high leadership that passes down rules and tells you what to do or not to do. There's no authority, no shared language even. There's a couple of words, but honestly, even now, like, I'm not getting into the definition of witchcraft because that changes person to person, witch to witch, and that's not the point of this video. So I'm just going with practice. to zero in on this fact, and I think trying to find your personal definition of what witchcraft is daring and willful. It's on you to seek out and to find what you need and what you want in your witchcraft practice, to what fits, to create a practice for yourself is difficult. I know anyone who's been doing this for a few years is aware of that. It is daring. You are going against the norm. You are consciously not being the same as most people. And that is difficult. It's easier to go with the flow. And there's nothing wrong with those who go with the flow, by the way. Modern society has created these systems for what is right and wrong, what is the way things should be done, and I don't think witchcraft follows that too much, though it can fit within those. So that's okay. Even allowing for individual differences. It's very daring, and it takes a lot of willpower. There's a lot of ideas you may have about witchcraft that you either have come across, maybe some theories you've come across, or ones that have come to you on their own, questions that you've had, and you taking the steps to actually find your own answers takes a lot of energy and just core willpower. And for that alone, I respect a lot of witches. Most witches, all excuse me, all witches, because it's a lot. Personally, practice is a struggle for me, even though I'm in a coven. There's still my own personal practice at home. Things I do just for me, and it might not be as elaborate, and it might even be based off of what our coven does, but it's still mine and mine alone, because I'm an individual. Even within ritual with the coven, it is almost impossible for us to have the same exact thoughts and feelings at the same exact moments all the time. We try to sync up and plan ahead of time and put that imagery out there, what we should be focusing on for the ritual. That's why ritual exists. It's a part of our practice. It is practicing for us worship and veneration of our deities, and also of our holidays, and also magic, depending on the ritual. So in that way, we can come as close as possible to having the same focus, the same mindset, and putting out our version of the same energy. But we are not the same. We are as close as individual human beings can synchronize to being the same. But we are not. We all bring our individual pieces to the puzzle to create the image. And I like that. But for a personal practice, it's very easy not to do, especially, again, having grown up in these systems where someone of authority will tell you what's good or what's bad and what you should and should not be doing. They'll be checking with in on you, and making sure you doing what you should be doing by a certain time, and you know, from birth, that is a thing. It's less of a thing as an adult, but not too much. So that's what I have to say about practicing practitioners. We are doers. We have to create our own reality, in a sense. Figuring out our purpose is a lot of what witchcraft is about, or practicing our purpose, if not figuring it out, and improving ourselves, our lives, and the world around us in ways that we think will change us and the world for the better. And that takes work. It takes discipline. It takes daring and willpower. And so that's the end of this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about practice, as and being a practitioner of witchcraft, and basically all I've said here. This is, I feel, might have been a little bit rambly, but I tried, as always, to have like an outline of my thoughts in front of me, so I didn't go too off. But yeah, so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. I almost segued into my Q topic somewhere in here, but I didn't. But stay tuned for the Q video relatively soon, and more videos here on YouTube. As always, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter in the description down below. You can find my blog and the Scarlet Moon Creations Etsy shop, where I practice my witchcraft by making potions and baths. So, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. This is Lachette. Bye.